Beautiful people, it's me, Pamela, on my YouTube. Cho, no, what's the T? Siyahlazia. Guys, we have talked about this over and over again when we were talking about the defense. He thinks everything is about him. Remember manje ukuthi enzani goGwabini sethi uGwabini might be arrested. Nale doctor's note yakhe fake. Like uRatha talks. Like he talks trash in that court all the time. Crap. Things that are not building the society, things that are not building the defense or the states. No one in that court actually. Stuff that you don't have to say as a judge, which is unnecessary. And it's something that, and I've always said and maintained, he could say these things in maybe in chambers with the defense of the state, not to us as South Africans, that crap that he always says at court. Like they want to say, no, everyone knows, all South Africans knows doctors' letters are bought. Guys, please, can just leave us alone. As it things now, the next thing, some more, just because Okininda have power. But that power, mark my words, it's not gonna last long. Like I said, this is intimidation and some ganging up. That's what I is doing with Brigadier Gininda plus Obaloi. Yeah, they are ganging up, man, to take defense down again. They always do that. And you know what is crazy about that though? The defense keeps on coming back. They're like, no, we're not giving up. You saw even after Ngomezulu's passing, they were just like, no, we're not giving up. We will continue though. Oxalai. Me, Nanje, I for one, I've lost respect for Ratha. Guys, there's nothing to learn there. Urata is obviously a diagnosis Gwabini must be read in court. Like who even says things like that, guys? And the Nazis believer now. Like he treats them like trash. Like all the three advocates, Usipora Musipili attorney actually. The attorney Sipora Musipili, advocates out to Charles Mnisi, basic zobozi to the hey, they've been trying to argue the end of a statement in Ubalo. Hey, Ubalo, Kabamutulanki, Ubalo. I found a best friend like entourage actually and they try to explain the statement situation. Hey, the thing is a problem. And to a point where Umnisi made a really, really brilliant example around the statement, bringing some cases from long time ago. Well, explain during court. No, please, Ubalo is being trying to win. Ubalo yaga win. Banje basabisa uGwabini. Gwabini izinkabilizers are trying to be friends with Umnisi. They no zungu. Basically, ngesiZulu, if you put it bluntly, it's more like benza uzungu around uBrigadier Bongani Gininda no Mukano uzibabulala. Guys, please, that people are always coming up with stories doesn't exist. Fake news like in another level I've never seen. Ubalo must just give it up, guys. Like they've tried everything in the book, those people. The state, and it's actually not working. All the advocates were mopping the floor with them there at court today. Hey, I didn't think Utumnis will just come back. I'll be on fire like this. That move was brilliant. You explain and you know what you want another statement. It's very calm as Umnisi. Ratha has been trashing Umnisi guys so many times. I'm just like, Ratha, why is he doing this to Umnisi? So Vela said, okay, my lord, thank you. And then he sits down. He's not trying to fight with Ratha. Umnisi.
Mr. Gwabini, did you make a statement? Mr. Gwabini said, I told my torturers that they should transfer what Moses accused number one, what accused number one has said in his statement into the document that they want me to sign, and I would sign it. And I was doing that with a view to stop the torture. And I put an S there. And then I went back to Mr. Gwabini and said, Mr. Gwabini, did you then make a statement? He said to me, but Mr. Mnisi, I did exactly what I told you what I did. Stop asking me a lot of questions. And then I said, no, wait, Mr. Gwabini, wait. Let me tell you lawfully how a statement has been made. And then I took him through the steps on how a statement is being made. And I remember quite vividly the court saying, "But Mr. Mnisi, you seem to be cross-examining your witness." And I constantly told the court that I wasn't cross-examining my witness, madam, because I was simply showing the witness how I was actually trying to bring to the attention of this witness how a statement is being made. And this is what I said to him, "Mr. Kwabeni, this is how a statement is being made. The police will be sitting down that other side. He'll be having a paper and a pen in his hand or in his hand. And then he will ask you, what language are you comfortable in? And then you will tell him the language. If there's a need of an interpreter, the interpreter will be there. And then the police will tell you, will you then be in a position to write the statement yourself, or you will narrate it to me and then I write it down, and then you'll make your choice. Assuming the circumstances that you elect that you narrate a story and the police in whose presence you are would then be writing down the statement. You would narrate your story, the police will write down the statement. You narrate the story, the police will write down the statement. But after having done that, at the end of it all, if that statement is written in English, he is supposed to read it back to you with an interpretation in the language that you understand. If it's Zulu, that should be interpreted in Zulu. If it's Tswana, that should be interpreted in Tswana. It must be read back to you for you to confirm the content of that statement. And if you're happy with that statement, at the end of it all, it is then that you would then have to pen your signature, append your signature on that statement as a confirmation that you agree with that statement. That is how a statement is made, Mr. Kwabeni. Do you understand? He said, no, I understand. Then I asked him, is this what happened when this alleged statement was taken from you? He said, no. Then the state wants to use that as a basis to argue that I have already proven the statement to Mr. Kwabeni. Or in fact, that the defense has already proved the statement on Mr. Kwabeni, so there's no longer any need for them to prove the statement. I think that was a horrible misunderstanding, my lord. But all that information is on record, my lord. Now, the state wants to rely on the Constitutional Court decision of Makala. Makala is distinguishable, actually, from this set of facts here. What happened in Makala is Makala's brother was arrested, or there were allegations that Makala's brother and another person were involved in an assassination of a councillor in the presence of Makala. The police got that information. They approached Makala, the maker of the statement. Not Makala the accused, but Makala the maker of the statement. Then in that statement, Makala the maker of the statement, the head actually implicated his brother and to some extent also implicated himself. Then the state called him, Makala, the statement maker, called him as a Section 204 witness. When he arrives at court, Makala then disavowed his statement, disassociated himself from that statement. The trial court said, no, Mr. Makala, I can't believe you. You have voluntarily made the statement, but this is what happened at the trial court. Realizing that Mr. Makala was dissociating himself from the statement as a witness that was called by the state in terms of Section 204. Then the state made an application to have him declared a hostile witness. But then the court allowed that. The state then went on to lay the foundation of that statement. In other words, the state then went on to prove that statement. Makala said, yes, I made that statement, but I made it under duress, and at some instances I also lied in that statement. That is exactly what the discourse is all about, my lord. It was not like what the state intends to do in this case, simply to cross-examine Mr. Gwabeni on the basis of his statement in order to test his credibility without having laid the foundation of that statement. Then the court at Makala, the trial court in the Makala matter, then found him guilty. No. It did not found Makala, the statement maker, guilty, but it found his brother and the other councillor guilty on the basis of Makala's statement, which was the sole evidence upon which they were convicted. Then they appealed to the Constitutional Court, to the Supreme Court of Appeal. The Supreme Court of Appeal, unfortunately, for the Makalas, it also agreed with the trial court. Then some wise person said no, but the Supreme Court of Appeal is not the only, it is not the absolute court of reference. As this matter involves a constitutional issue, a right to a fair trial, let us go to the Constitutional Court. The Constitutional Court cleared the position. The Constitutional Court cleared the position. The Makalas were acquitted. Now, the judgment was penned by 9 judges, 3 dissented. That is what constituted the minority judgment. But however, in totality, they also came to the very same conclusion that the majority judges came to, that in any event he had to be acquitted. So the states for submitting verdict wants this matter to be dealt with in a trial within a trial, which is unprocedural, seeks to rely on the minority judgment that said that most probably, and that was a wishful thinking, most probably the matter could have been dealt with in a trial within a trial in order to determine how Mr. Makala made the statement and all those things. But the majority of the judges at the Constitutional Court had to consider that aspect. They did not even deem it necessary to mention it in their majority judgment because they know that that would have been unprocedural. The only procedure through which a witness can be impeached by referring to his statement is simply to establish his statement. And this is what was said in the judgment of I'm going to be very short, my lord. This was what was said in the judgment of Moses versus S. It's a Northern Cape decision in Kimberley.